Hello, bass family, and welcome to Everything Bass. So, I constantly am kind of putting out on our Facebook group and in videos like this where I'm saying, hey, let me know your suggestions. Let me know if you need me to repeat anything. And that's what inspired today's video. Early on, I think one of the very first videos I posted in January 2020 had to deal with the basics, the fundamentals of slap. And in it, I talked about the mechanics of using your thumb to strike the string. But a couple things. It was nested with other points like developing your popping, so I did a little bit on it, and also it was in my first versions where I was using just the audio of my camera, and the audio was poor, and so rightfully some people have asked if I could just go over the thumbing mechanic. So that's what this video is all about, thumb basics. And honestly, the thumb is harder than the pop. In all the 30 plus years I've been teaching bass, usually everyone can pop pretty well. There's usually a couple tweaks to make it more efficient, but the thumbing can get tricky. And I think when I've talked to people who say, oh, I tried it, I couldn't slap, it always comes down to the actual mechanics of the thumb. So I'm glad to do a repeat video, more in detail, more in depth. So let's first of all talk about where to strike with the thumb. And even though it might seem like it's going to be painful, and for a little bit it will be, I strike with the side of my knuckle. So right there, I don't strike up here. Now sometimes I'll use this fleshy part if I want a real mellow sound. So maybe I'm slapping over a ballad, or dynamically the band's gotten real quiet. I can move here and get a more subdued slap sound, but primarily I'm always slapping with the side of my knuckle here. And a couple reasons is that's higher than these points. So it's easier when you're doing thumbing strings that have neighboring strings. You can actually hit better if you focus on that part. Now, when you're striking, you don't want to thumb and let the thumb like land on there even a nanosecond too long. And as I did in the first video, but hopefully it'll make sense today, if you think of a bell and the hammer that hits the bell, the hammer hits and ricochets off so the bell can ring because it needs that room to be able to resonate. When you're thumbing, you have to hit and bring your thumb up. You have to pull the thumb out so the string can vibrate. If you thumb and even for just a little bit leave the thumb there too long, the string gets deadened because it's trying to move this way and you're blocking it. So what that you can do is practice extremely slowly with an open E string is hit but pull the thumb out. Like that. Over-exaggerate. You notice when I'm slapping, I'm not over-exaggerating because once you get it down, you can make the movements less. But in this case, let's over-exaggerate. Like focus on hitting it and pulling the thumb away. So the string has a full room to vibrate around. Secondly, I should have mentioned, I like to thumb right at the neck joint, right over that fret, maybe the first couple frets. When you thumb too far back here, you can do it. It's just, to me, it has a little hollow sound. That you get up here, you get more of that percussive click. And I prefer it. But again, test it, make sure it works with the sound you hear in your head. So initially, as I said, start with just the E string. It's usually the easiest to get a good slap sound on. And just like hold the other three strings here and just work on your accuracy. Because it takes time. You notice my arm is resting on the top of my bass so that I have an anchor point so I can get consistent. I can hit that every single time and get some control over it. If I was trying to leave my arm up, I'm going to miss. I'm not going to be consistent, and that's going to make it frustrating, and you might stop trying to learn it. So again, hit and pull away. Hit and pull away. Now once you have that down, and I stress that, once you have that down, move on to the A string. Don't move on to the A string if you're still struggling with E string, because as I said before, it's usually the easiest to slap. If you have a 5 string, you would do the B string. I think being that it has no neighbor on one side, it's a very big string, it's easier to get down. As you move to the A string, now you have to think about not hitting the other strings. Now, sometimes you'll see guys slapping like this with the thumb pointing towards the ceiling, and good for them. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's awesome. I line up my thumb so it's parallel to the string, in line with the string, so that I can easily hit that without hitting these two strings. Same thing, I just kind of hit and pull away, hit and pull away. Bounce that thumb away, let it bounce off the string. When you've got that down, go to the D string. Same thing. Get consistent, just hit there and just, don't try to play fancy rhythms, just play constant notes. In this case, maybe think of it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the G string. As you go to thinner strings, like the G string, you have to hit harder to be the same volume as the heavier strings. So you want to kind of try to make all the strings the same volume. When you've done that isolating each string, then maybe step through them. Now you notice I didn't fret anything, because we want to make sure we got the mechanic down to get a good note before we introduce an element that can affect that note, which is our fretting hand. Once you've got the step 1 down, step 2 is just fret a G on the E string, and now do the same exercise. Hit it, pull away, hit it, pull away, get a good round sound. Try then the C on the 3rd fret, F, and the B flat. And just go through those things. Now at this point you can start, when I first learned, and I was really fortunate, I was able to get my slapping down pretty quickly, but I was given some advice from a great bass player from Chico called Mike, his name is Mike Zalkowski. And Mike was just saying, well, when you're getting it down, just everything you practice, thumb it. Not only, like you still want to practice your standard playing and whatnot, but he was like saying, if you're working on the C major scale, thumb it. Now, it might not sound that clean. You might have some missed frets. You might have some dead notes, so slow it down. Just try to get every note clean. Now, I noticed my B was quiet on the way up, so I hit it a little harder on the way down, made an adjustment. Those are the things you can do, I think, that will really help get you consistent. We want consistency. We want good tone. Those are things we're going to shoot for in isolating our thumb. And there's 2 things that will help you with success in this. 1, slow down. Slow down. Be patient. It's going to sound paradoxical, but by being slow, you'll learn faster. When you try to go too fast, it's bad tone and things like that. That's terrible. Second thing is be patient. You might spend all day the first day going slow, doing everything I said, and still you're getting weird sounds like that. Be patient. Take a moment, step away from it, do something else, play some other things you've been working on. Next day, go back to it, dedicate some time. I would say maybe when you're freshest, like let's say you're going to practice for an hour tomorrow, tackle it right away because you're fresh, you got some optimism, go into it, you're not tired, your shoulder doesn't hurt from having the bass on, sit there and just work on it for a couple minutes, see if you can get it better, and then move on and practice other things. Those are some suggestions. I really hope you stay with it. If you have any questions or need even more, listen, this isn't a done deal. I could do another video. I could do 100 videos, whatever you guys need. But be specific is where I'm missing. What could I be teaching better about this one thing that I could do a follow-up video on? And I will do it, hands down. I would do it because I love slap. I think it's actually almost a requirement now on a lot of styles of music, a lot of gigs. So I'd love to see you be able to develop it, and it's just a lot of fun. Man, if I had a bad day, if I'm just frustrated, I slap, and it allows me to process maybe some of that. And also I've written some pretty cool grooves that way too. So there you have it, guys. Some thumb basics, getting your thumb in shape so you can get over that hurdle and get on to playing the slap grooves. Once you do have that down, check out, I have, at the time of this video, I have 22 slap grooves. So if you go to my channel, start with slap groove 1, and you can now, once you've got that thumb down, you can start putting it into bass lines and hopefully see the progress and reap the benefits of your practice time, which is what I really wish for everybody. There's no support material for this, but I still hope you consider going to my Patreon channel, which is in the description below, and become a monthly Backstage Pass subscribing member. For most of my videos, there are some kind of support materials that make the videos more powerful, allow you to practice when you're away from YouTube. So you can have a binder, you can print everything out, put it in the binder, and be good to go. If you have any questions, as I said before, mention in the comments below, but also, email me. I love to have the one-on-one conversations, which seems like a lot of people do. So email me at dtitus@daletitus.com. I love bringing these videos to you guys. They make my day better, and I hope they do something for you. So I will see you at the next video. Thanks, guys.